Okay, guys, Mr.
Let's
Popsit here.
see.
Greg.
Alrighty. I think we are going live. Yes. All right. Well, give a second for people to show up here. This is going to be a fun one. Can already feel it. Oh, well, I just clicked something right off the bat. Now, I think I'm going live on both channels. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out. Yeah, I think it is. So that's going to be interesting. I haven't done that yet, and I added my main channel. I think people are going to be showing up here in a second. Brandy Showwater. I'm going to say hi to some people. Oh, and my mom is here. Very cool. Hello, Paul. So people are starting. Susan from Canada. Renee. A. Taylor. Just some shout outs there. Oh, my goodness. Okay, over 300. There we go. Thank you so much. I'm going to kind of break down real quick because I know a lot of people come in. They're like, what are we talking about? We are going to talk about sunblocks, why we use them, how do they work? That's an important thing a lot of people have questions about. And utility. How are you utilizing them in your life? And then at the very end, I'm going to tease my next video. So just the opening credits of it. I should be done with editing it today, and it should go up today. It's a doozy. It's a really good one, and it kind of had some surprises with it, so that's interesting. So get ready for that. But I wanted to start off with, I was talking, I put up this sunblock ad kind of, and a lot of people, there was a lot of comments and a lot of questions. And one of the things I wanted to say was, a lot of channels like this have either started charging or they have stopped posting. And the reason for that is YouTube has been demonetizing and taking comments off. They've really been coming at channels like this, even though they're informative channels, which is unfortunate. And, I got an affiliate deal and I reached out to them. I have a lot of people reaching out to me, but this is something that I use. And we're going to talk about that, why I chose that one, and just about sunblocks in general. So very important subject, Ruth. I agree. And I know because there's a lot of people coming up and a lot of questions. I'll have a question time at the end if you had a particular question about what I'm talking about. So that should be good. But I did want to say that because there was a lot of questions about why is he doing that. And I'm trying to keep all this content free and keep it going. So I do get a small percentage of those sales, but I thought it would be a great thing that you guys can help the channel and you get something that's great for your skin. So, oh yes, Jessica, awesome. So I wanted to start, one thing I wanted to say, gratefulness, being grateful is so important. And, a lot of you out there, if you're in the position that you want, that's awesome. And if you're striving to get there, keep up with it, because I was so busy this week. I tend to be in January when everybody's they got new insurances and people start coming in. And I was really busy. There were some charts up and I was like, oh my gosh, this is I'm tired. And I sat down for a second. I was at my desk and I was like, 14 years ago, this is exactly where I dreamed and wanted to be. And I'm there. So put a smile on your face and get out there, get back in the game. And that's what, I was just sitting there thinking that in the importance of gratefulness, sometimes when things can kind of pile up, just take a step back and look at it and be grateful that we have our health and that we got jobs or you're moving forward in some way. So I worked a lot of jobs. I delivered bounce houses. All night, in the middle of the night on certain days, I would stock the shelves at Vons, which is a grocery store, or in the middle of the night, I would UPS planes. I would load those too. So I did a lot of jobs that were hard and not what I wanted to end up at. So getting here, it makes me even more grateful. So the topics that we were going to go over. Let's talk about sunblocks, why we use them. Most obvious, skin cancer prevention. There's been multiple studies to show that UV light advances atypical cells that can then turn into cancer. Oh, one down. I wonder what that was all about. Somebody didn't like something I said, I guess. Oh, maybe, I don't know. But that's rare. So what we were talking about is I see so many cancers every day. And those cancers in young people and people under 40. And we talk about, why that happens, the advancement of it. And there are people that are more prone to having or making atypical cells, and those advancing in particular to cancer, but breast cancer, colon cancer, any type of cancer, but in particular for skin cancer, it can be in the bloodline, in the DNA. And when that happens, UV light can speed it up. So there's a lot of people out there that did the tanning beds that came out first, and anybody over 40 or 35, really born in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s, there weren't great options for sunblocks, but those group of people were kind of a litmus test of what is 30 or 20 plus years of almost daily sun damage do to the skin. And we are seeing it every day, all these people coming in with cancer. So because of that, the sunscreen industry has gone through the roof, and everybody's trying to get a good option. They're all trying to get out there. Some people are using it to cover up and blend splotchiness, delay signs of aging and small wrinkles that come up, because UV light can age you. So that's an important one. And then sometimes just to take away shininess, make more of a matte finish. So there's a lot of reasons that we use it. On top of that, medical conditions. I see a lot of medical conditions that can be made worse by UV light. In particular, lupus will flare a lot of times with sun exposures. There's something called polymorphous light eruption, which is basically a sensitivity or allergy to UV light. And I do see a decent amount of patients with that too. So in those groups, medications also. People who are on medications can make you photosensitive. In particular, doxycycline or the tetracycline groups of antibiotics. I've seen people get just 20 minutes of sun, and not even on a really sunny day, and get horrible blistering rashes from that. So some people are more sensitive to it than others, but that's out there. So those are some reasons that we would use sunblocks, basically. And so, we talk about what are sunblocks and what's in them and how do they work. So there's chemical sunblocks, sunscreens, and physical sunscreens. The chemical, I was going to go over a couple, avobenzone, octinoxate, oxybenzone, octocrylene. Those are some of the ones in the chemicals that you'll see in there. And the way they work is they absorb UV rays. And they will, Brandy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. They absorb UV rays, and a lot of times they will, they kind of convert the rays to heat and then release it from the body. That's one of the ways that some of these chemical ones work. There's more risk of allergies with them, I found. And, they do break down a little quicker than the physical barrier sunscreens and sunblocks. So, when choosing that, there are reasons why people will choose those. Sometimes they go on easier, they absorb quicker, and there's all kinds of, when you look in the ingredient profiles, there's a ton of different ones of all of these mixed together, and you really kind of just got to try, and find the right one for you. Now, with the physical sunscreens, they're usually zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. And zinc, you remember from the 70s or the 60s when they would put that white paste on their face, that's zinc oxide. And back then it was so thick, it would occlude the pores. But it was a good reflector of UV light. They now have it, nanoparticles or micronized, and that is kind of the new thing, and that is actually what ISDEN is, the one that I was talking about earlier. They do tend to they reflect light, so they're not really absorbing, they're just reflecting UVA and UVB. They're generally broad spectrum, so they do both. UVB tends to not go as deep in the skin. UVA is what goes through your glass when you're driving. It also is what it causes a lot of skin cancers and penetrates deeper into the skin. So I also have in my car reflective tint. So sometimes people call it ceramic tint. It's clear, a clear coat you can put on the windshield and on the sides. Then you can see through it, but it reflects UV light. And that is a game changer for people who drive a lot. And I do recommend that. I have it on all my cars and all the way to the back too. So it protects the little kiddos sitting in the back when sun's coming through. So that's important. And they tend to have less risk of irritation. There are people that are allergic to those, but I find it less. I actually, oxybenzone and octocrylene, I have an allergy and a sensitivity to that, which is what drove me to really look into a lot of sunscreens and which ones I can use and which ones don't cause a rash all over I was getting this tiny red papular rash that would almost look like pimples, but there's hundreds of them. And it was kind of a slow build, and I was breaking out really bad everywhere I put it. And I tried a lot of different ones, and that was kind of tough. Now, one thing, and I know I had a lot of questions, was reef safe? Is it reef safe? Is it environmentally safe? That's a common question a lot of people ask about their sunblocks. And kind of just as a, I would say, are any of these really truly 100% safe for if they're in high levels and concentrations? They could be, any of them will probably be bad for the reef. In particular, octinoxate and oxybenzone are bad for reefs. They can, sterilize the reef so it can't reproduce, stop photosynthesis, so it can't, kind of be nourished. It can bleach the reefs. It can change the DNA of the reef. So there are some bad side effects to those in particular. They tend to be more the chemical sunscreens, the man-made molecules. Zinc and titanium tend to be safer. However, the nano and micronize, there are some absorption that they're finding. So it, that's important to note. And, Hawaii, I think just in 2020, I think it was, they only allow the physical barrier blockers, zinc and titanium, zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. So that's, as a island or state, they literally denied and said they stopped the chemical sunscreens from being there. And I think that helps. They were seeing, reef issues. And so, but that is a common question. But that brings me to the next thing, which is utility. Utility is so important. How are you utilizing this? What do you want from your sunscreen? Means everything. Everything. And I have these discussions daily when I'm seeing lots of patients, not with every single patient, but daily I do discuss this in my office. And it's like, do you want something that's going to cover a huge body surface area on 4 children and yourself, and you need to reapply every 2 to 3 hours? Then you're going to need a pretty big jug. And, some people talk about sprays. Sprays can be good. They're easier to put on kids sometimes, but the downside for those is uneven application. Uneven application happens a lot. So, and people can still get burned. The number one thing I can't say enough is reapplication. They've done some studies to show almost 99% blockage of UV rays up to about 2 to 3 hours, 2.5 hours. After that, they do start to denature and break down all of the sunscreens. The zinc and the titanium dioxide tend to last a little longer. However, they do start to break down, and you can get under 40-30% blockage of UV light within just an hour or two after that. So as it goes on, that's why you want to reapply. So important. Lighter the skin, also so important. The more melanin in your skin, you do have more protection to UV light. So people that are, Fitzpatrick 1 or 2, like the Irish skin, very light skin tones, they tend to burn quicker, obviously, and they don't have as much natural protection. Now, some people will tell me, oh, I got my tan, so now I'm good. And that could not be a more incorrect statement. when you are tanning, melanin is being released from your melanocytes because of UV light damage you've already received. So when people say that, you're damaging your skin to get that tan, and then you're hoping that you're not getting as much absorption because the skin is darker. But it's a cumulative thing. The other thing I tell patients is this doesn't reverse. So if you went and lived in a cave for 5 years, it's not like your skin's going to get better. It's just not going to advance more UV light damage as it goes on. So that's important. Every day, we're walking out into UV light. And another thing I always tell people, in big cities, they've done some studies to show, because of more cars, ozone depletion or ozone holes, ozone breakdown. And that's a real thing. They have shown that where there are holes in the ozone layer or thinning out of the ozone layer. And that is a UV blocker and absorber. So when there's a hole there, you're getting straight from, oh my gosh, thank you, Amber, so much. Oh, look at you. I was looking, have an infection after 4 moles frozen off. I'm so sorry. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. So yeah, when you're getting that light damage, that's why it's so important to find one that you can use daily. And this gets me kind of to the end. How are you going to utilize it? What's best for you? And it's the most important question, because if you have something that looks good on the box, wow, 50 SPF, all these things, but you don't like the way it feels on your skin, you're not going to use it. If you're not going to use it, it's not going to help you, and you're going to get, age quicker. You're going to get more skin cancers. So that is why when I was talking about in the ad that I did, why I chose Isden, I'm going to kind of compare, CeraVe, Elta MD, Sunbum. There's a lot of choices out there, and it can be overwhelming to patients. It absolutely is overwhelming to me when I see all these choices. But when we start to kind of be divergent and, okay, does it have this or this or this, you can really get down to what is best for you and what you want. I'm going to tell you what's best for me and what I want and why I use Isden. But, we're talking about pricing is a big thing, over the counter or specialized. A lot of times when you're seeing the $50, $70, $100, even $110, $120 sunblocks, as you go up, you're just getting a better vehicle a lot of times. The vehicle it is in, the cream that it's in, is usually, there's been some time and money spent with microbiologists or scientists to make it better, to make it go on better, to make it absorb better, to make it feel better, to make it smell better, all those things. So that's where that money usually is going in. It's very rare, because in other things, people will just slap a brand name on it. Like purses or clothing and things like that. And it's like, hey, now we can quadruple the price. Not so much I have found in these, because the truth is in the details. And when you put it on, you can tell the silkiness or how quickly it absorbs if they put money into it. Now, that being said, I'm sure there's some bad sunblocks out there, some bad ones that I've felt. That's very true. But for the most part, when you're getting those higher levels, those $50 to $120 sunblocks, they are going to go on better. They're going to feel better. So, but some of these, and that's what's interesting about Isden and some of the Elta MDs, some of the ones that are made by dermatologists or doctors, and they're made to be sold in doctors' offices or online only. And Isden is one like that. And that's how they chose to utilize it. And I think one reason they do that is to really kind of set themselves apart. But also, if you're getting it in a doctor's office, you're usually getting the explanation of how to apply, and you'll be better off for that. And I kind of want to talk about where those ones diverge, or what differentiates them. And we're almost to the video. Don't worry. I'm going to show the opening of my next video that's coming. Just a couple minutes, and we're going to have some questions also that I'll be able to answer, because there's a lot going on. I do miss a lot of questions, so I'm going to go back and see, but then in a couple minutes we're going to answer some. So in particular with Isden, what really stands out to me, and what I explain to my patients every day, is it checks off a lot of boxes. It is a physical barrier sunblock. It's zinc oxide. And that's a big one for me. One, because I have sensitivities. I have very sensitive skin. I am a redhead when I had hair. And it's those tend to be ones that are, they go on better. Non-comedogenic, so you're not getting clogged pores, PABA-free, a lot of the things that irritate people and are for people with sensitive skin, it doesn't have those in it, which is nice. The other thing, what I like, this is not just a sunblock. This is something that's going to make your skin feel rejuvenated, fresh. It is it's a beauty cream on top of a sunblock. It really is. With coenzyme Q10, antioxidants, it's going to be reducing inflammation. Those types of things will lessen redness and splotchiness. The tinted one blends amazingly. I really like it. So it's micronized zinc. So when people have asked me if it's reef safe, it is sold as reef safe. However, some of the nanoparticles or the very small ones, they are saying could possibly be absorbed in some marine life, but they are kind of doing, all the other things that cause all the other damage, like the chemicals, are not in there. So, Being Nancy, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. 100% Celtic, yes. Sun protection. I mean, when you know, you know. The people with light skin know. And when I go out, it hurts. I literally feel like I'm baking when I'm out there. And not everybody understands that, but and if people are out there long enough, everybody feels like that, but I feel it quick in like 10 to 15 minutes. So, but in regards to the ISDN, I always tell the story. I really looked into a lot of sunblocks and nobody impressed me. They were just all the same. They're pretty interchangeable. On the level, when the ones that are $10 to $30 over the counter, pretty interchangeable. You're going to feel it. They can be kind of greasy and oily. CeraVe is one. I love CeraVe. I love their moisturizers, but their CeraVe AM, it leaves a film on my skin, and I believe it has octocrylene in it. That's why I can't use it. But for some people, that might be perfect for them. I just don't like the feeling on the skin, so I don't use it. I wasn't in the beginning, and then I had the sensitivity to it. Some other ones like Elta MD is a great product. They were really good, but I felt it more than I feel ISDN on my skin. So when I was at my conference and the reps were sitting there and they're like, "Hey, you want to check out our sunblock?" I'm like, "Not really." And he's like, "I'm not even going to say anything to you about it. Just let me see your hand." And I put my hand out and they put it on and I was like, "Let me guess, there's no, zinc in it." And they were like, "It's 100% zinc mineral sunscreen." And I was blown away. So when you put that on, zinc, and I do put it on children, yes. As long as they don't have a zinc sensitivity, I put it on my very young children, and it is recommended for that and safe. It doesn't have PABA, it doesn't have a lot of the things that cause sensitivities. And that people talk about, are you absorbing some of these? Particularly, it's possible, yeah, that you're absorbing anything you're putting on your skin. There is some absorption coefficient with that. But what is the other side? Is it getting sunburned and getting a bunch of UV damage, which we know is proven to cause skin cancer and age? So, there's all kinds of calculated risks that we take, but I think the risks are very low as far as absorption when you're putting it on 1 or 2%. The other thing is the utilization. So, I don't go to the beach much. When I do, I usually use clothing, which you've seen in some of my lives that are there. So I use this daily, and it is made for daily use on the face, on the scalp, and on the face, chest, and hands. Sorry. And that's what it was made for. It was made to be like a beauty cream that feels good, blends freckles and spots, and gives you 50 SPF protection. Another question I get is 50 to 100, does it make a difference? They did do some studies to show that when you make the jump from 50 or 75 to 100, Is it better? Yes. How much better? Very incremental. They were saying maybe a 3 to 5% more protection from 50 to 100. Now, the jumps from 10 to 15, 20, 25, 35 to 50 are actually pretty big as far as the ability to reflect or absorb and stop, UV damage. 50, I think, is a great number. It's hard to find 50 that absorbs completely, which is where Isden sticks out to me and why I was backing that too. So yeah, that kind of covers all the stuff that I wanted to say about it. And I know some people were like, well, what do you think about this line? What do you think about this line? Look if it's chemical, if it's a man-made chemical like the ones we talked about, or it's zinc or titanium. Is it a barrier blocker, or if it's chemical? That's a big divergence. A lot have zinc along with the other in there, or titanium dioxide along with the others in there. And, and they're saying, oh, it's a broader spectrum. You're getting both. Yeah, sometimes those can have pretty good coverage, but you feel them. They're greasy to me. It's very hard when you start putting multiple in there. It gets thicker, or it just doesn't absorb as well. So that is a big difference to me. Now, if I were to go and I was going to be out without a hat for some reason, which I never am, if I'm going to be out in the sun, I would maybe pick a very thick zinc that's not micronized. But that just doesn't happen. I'm always wearing a hat if I know I'm going to be out there. So that's where, on the divergent scale of what's best for me, you need to make those calls about what's important to you. Is it to me, for a daily cream, 100 or close to 100% absorption is exactly what I want. And so that's why I was promoting Isden. So thank you for those that were like, hey, thanks for, recommending that. I got it. A lot of you did get it. That's totally awesome. Thank you so much, because it really does help me keep this channel free, and it keeps it going, because there have been times where I was like, man, why am I doing this? I love to educate, but they were taking away comments. They were really just like putting the pillow over the face of my channel, trying to put it out. And I was like, man, why would I keep this going? And I'll tell you why. We're almost to 700,000, and it's really making a difference, I feel now. I really feel like that in the last 6 months to a year. I have had so many of you reach out, so many of you, with comments and flying into to see me. And I'm helping people, and that's why I do it. So it's great. And obviously there are bills for any business, so there has to be some money to be made. I'm not apologizing, or I don't feel sorry for that. I know some people get really angry for some reason that anybody on YouTube would make any money, which I think is strange. But hey, there are bills that still have to be paid. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I do want to open up for a couple questions here. I did see some just come through. And UV day, yeah. UV index is something you can check, and that's kind of just like if it's smoggy in some cities, like what's the UV penetration? People will look into that, and I do recommend that. Let me see if there's any questions that are coming up. Total protection, no show mineral sunscreen, 100% invisible, all mineral. Color Science is one of my go-to. My sensitive skin. Trying to look for waterproof. Yeah. So I've heard of that, and that's a good one too. The waterproof, usually they're water resistant. These things are going to wash off or break down. And so that's why it's just reapplication, getting back in there. Oh, Mike Reed from Zanesville. How cool is that? Hello. That's awesome. Good times, my hometown. So, I used to have one. There was one called Bullfrog, and it was for surfers. It was pretty darn thick, and it actually would cause some acne. But it went on thick, and it stayed on a little longer. I could feel it longer. And that all depends. Like if you're getting washed around in a wave with salt water, or maybe a pool you're just sitting in, they might last. There might be a difference in when it's washing off or not. But, there's so many good options out there, and that's why there's almost too many good options. And that's why things like this and being able to differentiate and having somebody that deals in it, explaining stuff to you, I think is very beneficial. The last thing I want to say is litmus test yourself. I recommend it all the time, not only with sunblocks, but in particular with sunblocks, new makeups, facial creams, anything you're putting on your skin. Rub a little bit on your wrist for 3 days in a row. You get a red ring there that's itchy or bumpy or blistering, then there's something in there that you can't tolerate. It's way better than putting it all over yourself and getting a horrible outbreak, which I do see a lot as well. So litmus test yourself. Put a little test there, and if you can handle it there, the soft skin of your wrist, like your neck or your face, it's a little bit thinner skin. It will react sometimes quicker if you have a sensitivity. Yeah, anything of the type that would walk in. Yes, that's right. Oh, Shell W, I agree. Those are the people that are like, he's trying to make some money off something. I'm going to go eat free grapes. That's right. So some people are coming on late. This will be out. People are going to watch it. I also think it's on Mr. Popsit Live too. And Mr. Popsit, I think I did both. I'm going to find out after I get off to see if it goes up. Let me see. I jumped on late. I'm a chemo maintenance med and was told the sun will do a number on my skin. Yes, some medications, depending on which ones they got you on, are going to make you more sun sensitive. They can give you a photodermatitis. So I utilize clothing as well. And cotton only gives you 7 to 9 roughly UPF, they call it in clothing, SPF protection. So the 50 plus UPF clothing is usually reflective. It has been treated or has something in it to reflect UV light. That's very important because especially I always tell my patients that are on chemotherapy or doing stuff like that on medications, you need to get a good shirt. I'm actually going to have a shirt coming. I'm a person that tends to look into something, really dive in deep, unpack it, and in the things that I like in my life. That's what I do. And it's a little bit of I don't know, obsessive compulsive probably, but that's just what I do in everything that I do. My fishing reels and the fishing line in my clothing. And I've really been looking at sun protective clothing, and I really want to make the perfect sun shirt. And I might call it the perfect sun shirt. So that is that's might be coming too. I'm in the works to try and make the perfect one. So that'll be coming. That's always good to have on, especially if you're on those medications. But great question. For bass fishing, being on the water for 6 hours, yeah. So, and the sunblocks, and I should say, I am going to have the links for the sunblocks on this live, and there is a powder in there. A lot of people, powders are a lot easier to just bam, 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 when you're on the go or when you're out there. I have face protection when I literally have 50 UPF clothing that protects my face, but I will reapply. I'll take it out if I have gloves on as well. I'll take that off and reapply when I'm out there every 2 to 3 hours. I usually do about 2.5 hours. That's when I reapply when you're fishing. Also, snowboarding. You're getting reflective UV light off of water and off of snow. So that's important. You do get burned quicker and you can get burned worse. So when you're doing those things, you should have some sunblock or some type of protective face shield. Let's see. Thanks for making videos. Yes. If you could recommend a sunscreen, I have both melasma and vitiligo. My face is really sensitive, for sure. I would try the zincs. For sensitive skin, I have found Isden to work for me and for a lot of my patients. But anything that's 100% mineral, either zinc or titanium, those are ones I think you should try. Very cool. Scotland. Hello, Barbara. Oh, it is on the other channel. Very cool. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, I saw they kind of came up, but I didn't know if it was going to choose to put it on one or not. Psych meds can enhance sunburns. Absolutely. That's a good point. There's actually quite a few medications that can cause photosensitivity. There are the ones that, like the tetracyclines, that are known for it, but I see it a lot. And when I see that as a practitioner for any of the people that are working in dermatology, obviously you see the exposed skin is the only thing that breaks out. If you eat something and have a really bad breakout, it tends to come up all over the body. When you're getting the photo areas, the UV light exposed areas, and you're breaking out just in those areas, you always got to keep that in your mind that there could be something they're taking that's making them photosensitive. So, yes, I think that's good. So let's go. Let's play this video. And I'm talking about this for a second. I'm going to be editing this right now when I get off here. And I'm going to shrink myself down and put myself in the corner. Yeah, 7 dislikes. I'm going to see what they disliked. It'll be very interesting to see. So, they don't really bother me as much as it seems. I don't care about the dislikes. But thank you so much for the 87 that liked. That's awesome. Here we go. Yes, plants. Susan, great point. Right before I push play. Phytophoto dermatitis. It's in limes and like some citrus. It's also in celery. There are some things that are in certain plants that can cause you to get a horrible reaction and photosynthesize with UV light. So that's a very good point. Here we go. Little smaller, push and play. Okay guys, Mr. Popsit here, Greg Lynch Durham, PA. We can see we have a large growth on the elbow. When I come from the side, you can see how big that is. And a lot of things that we think about on the arms like this, obviously lipoma, which is most likely what it is. It actually looks like it's lobulated. You can see a little crease right down the middle. There's probably a second one right beside it. That's common for them to be lobulated. And you can see how big that is. It's a good 3.5 centimeters, almost 4 centimeters. Now, the other thing we think about here is bursitis. We have bursa, which are little kind of gel pads that protect our joints, around joints. Sometimes people will land on one of these and bursitis can swell up. It'll be gel-filled sac in there. We'll be able to tell once we get in there. It's probably a 95% chance, though, it's a lipoma. So we're going to get her. I want to pause right there. It is not a lipoma. And wait till you see what's in there. It's a pretty unique one. It surprised me. It was very firm, kind of like a packed-in lipoma, but that's what's great about what we do. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Once you cut it open, there are surprises. It is a giant cyst, and it is a lobulated with different. It's very cool. I'm going to finish up here. Prepped and ready. You can kind of see when I squeeze that, it almost looks like it has a little head on it. So we're going to get her all numb and prepped, and then we'll be back and get this out for her so she doesn't have to worry about it anymore, and she can rest her elbow gently without worry. So thanks for popping by. Okay, so that was your early screening of the next video. So you guys saw it here before everybody else. And very cool. It's going to be a good one. I actually, man, it's weird because it kind of goes in cycles. I'll have like a lot of acne, and I have a bunch of good acne videos coming. But just recently, I've had a lot of very unique cysts. And I have one coming in next week. It's kind of like this. It may be a lipoma, but if it is a cyst, it's probably going to be the most unique looking one on my channel. And you'll see why when I do that. She's coming back in a week for surgery. So, but man, if it's a cyst, it's going to be crazy. So, good stuff coming. And I don't think there was any more. Chili shout out, Janice 11. Thank you. I hope all of you have a great weekend. Fridays are date days for Mrs. Popsit and I. We always go. She's right here working away. You should say hi. Mrs. Pops and I are getting ready to go on a date. Here she is. Boom. There she is. So we're going to be signing off here at 40 minutes. Man, that's crazy. It goes by so quick, 37 minutes. But thank all of you so much for the support. Thanks for your positiveness. And all these names that I see on here, I see commonly. And I really appreciate all of you. Because I also see you responding in the comment section, and there is a group of a couple hundred people that I really appreciate, and it's just fun knowing you, and let's keep it going. All right, thanks for popping by, and have a great weekend.